Welcome to Risky Thoughts with Rob and Roy.
I'm Rob.
And I am Roy.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Risky Thoughts. This is Roy and I's third attempt at trying to get a reasonable episode recorded so that we could get some new content out there for everybody.
Yes.
We've been reluctant to upload what we have recorded to date just because we've been really grumpy. We were doing it late in the night.
Yeah.
I was having a shitty day. We were swearing a lot.
Yeah, we ended the last episode, the one that's not going to record, it's just like, fuck Risky Thoughts. Fuck you guys. Fuck Rob and Roy. Literally.
Yeah, that was literally how it went down.
Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to try again, and we wanted to wait until we had something decent to upload. So hopefully tonight we have something good for you to listen to.
Okay.
So, Roy, I was at work today, and I don't know at what point I was on my phone, and I was reading some random articles. I was probably in the bathroom when I was doing this, and I saw an article about the USS Omaha, which is a naval ship for the States that was witness to what they are calling a UFO sighting. Now, the video was recorded by the Navy back in 2019, I believe. Okay. But it was just released on Friday last week, so 6 days ago, that they have officially, the Pentagon has vetted this video to be legitimate. And they've said now that this is truly an unidentified flying object, and that the motions of this object were very unusual and cannot be linked to any technology that we have today.
Yes.
And they're calling it a transmedium vessel because it splashed into the water and they can't find any wreckage. And apparently they've been finding sonar signatures that are recognizing some object traveling at hundreds of knots in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, wait. So what's 100 knots? It's just...
So it's very fast. Just put it like that. We don't have any We don't have any vehicles that go that quickly in the water, submerged fully under the water.
Okay.
You can look it up to figure out what that is in miles per hour. But it's extremely fast. And while you keep looking that up, I'll tell you the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's like something out there, and a lot of people are like getting excited about this, and all the conspiracy theorists that have been saying all along, like, there's UFOs out there, there's fucking aliens here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're right, but this is something that's going to give them a little credence to their arguments because, we really don't know what it is. And what has happened to date, and what the Pentagon has confirmed, is that there's no foreign military that is taking ownership of this particular vehicle that that they saw flying, and they have it recorded on video. And even more interesting than this is what's happening. June the 4th, the U.S. government is going to be declassifying all information on any UFO sightings that have been recorded by the military.
Wow.
Now, 60 Minutes did an interview on this Sunday that just passed with an individual who is a naval soldier. I'm not even sure if they're called soldiers when they're part of the Navy, but a naval officer.
Right.
And he was saying that they had been citing these types of incidents for like every day for the last 15 years.
Fuck.
Or extended period of time. I don't know how long it's actually been. So what's really interesting is that, like, why would the government keep this quiet for so long? My particular view is that they're releasing the information now just because the U.S. is in a lot of trouble economically, and they're just trying to like
more distraction.
Find some distraction, to keep
so let's release
excited.
The aliens. Fuck it.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you though is that, like, okay, let's assume for a second that this is legit and this is actually an extraterrestrial spaceship. That's
by the way.
Yeah.
So 100 knots is 185 kilometers per hour in the water.
And it's going hundreds of knots.
Yeah. Imagine my car driving through water
at full speed.
Yeah, like on the highway. So.
And then some, because it's hundreds of knots.
Yeah, that.
So it's going like at least 370 kilometers an hour under the water. It's crazy.
Fuck.
Yeah. So anyway, what I find really fascinating is that people, when this comes out and, the Pentagon releases their information, I'm sure most of the world's not going to even give a shit. People are just going to be like, this is all nonsense anyways. But for people who truly believe that it is an extraterrestrial, my question for you, because I'm hoping that's what it is, to be honest with you. Like, that would be really, really interesting.
That'd be fucking sick.
That, this speculation that we've had over the years about, like, the probability of life existing outside of this planet is obviously very, very high, right? Given the magnitude of the size of the universe.
But here's the thing: there's something called the Fermi's paradox, and then, extension of it. There's like this idea of filtering, right? So it means that like, for some reason, we're not seeing these aliens that are taking over the cosmos, or not building Dyson spheres. And these are all things that if you guys are not into, it's something that you could look into. And if you guys are into science, like, it's really super interesting. Like, a Dyson sphere is where you build an apparatus around a star to harvest its energy. Wow. So it's like, these are things that like we've looked at, I don't know how many, but I know we've looked at a lot and we haven't found anything. We haven't found anything on a cosmic level.
Okay, but let's be fair here. This is what most people don't really understand, is how big the universe actually is. Yeah. And like what we can see. Yeah. And when I say see, it's not like the vision that we have when I'm sitting across the table from you. Yeah. It's like a different kind of vision, right? Where you're using different types of waves to interpret data, right? But even with that range, we can still only see like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of the universe, right? So it's nothing. We can't even see a grain of sand on the beach relative to the size of the universe. Yeah. So like, it's not surprising that from a statistical perspective, even if we could see all this, with the technology that we have, even with all the shit that we can see, it's not that common that you would expect on a probability scale that you're going to find these things.
No.
But what's even more like, and along the same lines here, if there is intelligent life elsewhere, and let's say that they are far more advanced than we are, the probability of finding our planet, even if they're able to travel the universe, with no limits, it would still take them an infinite period of time to find Earth. Yeah. Because we are less than that one speck of sand.
Right. So, I mean, like, I think scientists are in a kind of agreement that their life is most probably common, like life, just like bacterial life. And in fact, like, all those asteroids hitting Earth, maybe there's some microbial life or viral life that kind of help, kickstart humans. But it's just like, that I think they're more probabilistic, but just the curiosity is like intelligent life. Like, why aren't we seeing intelligent life? And it's like, once again, it's this filtering idea that, we have extinctions, gamma ray bursts, like burning up the planet just exploding, you know what I mean? And then it's just like the idea that, intelligent life is probably not the best thing to survive.
Okay, fair. Yeah. But I would say this.
Yes.
How far do you think we have reached in terms of broadcasting a message to some potential other life out there? Again, in the scale of the universe, we haven't even reached
100 years, of radio waves.
Maybe.
Which radio waves like decay to like nothing.
So like even if there's a life form out there that's, let's say, equal to our intelligence, and they existed somewhere in the universe, the probability of interacting with that life form is like zero. For all intents and purpose, it's fucking zero.
With the
technology that we have, and assuming they have the equivalent technology, it's fucking zero.
Well, they got TUDs. I mean,
well, now let's get to that. So like, that's what I wanted to ask you. So like, let's pretend for a second that this is an actual alien species, who's now come to Earth. They've flown their ships here, and for whatever reason, they're flying over the Pacific Ocean and just chilling. Like, I don't know why they would do that, but let's say that they are.
Yeah.
What do you think their interest is? Like, why do you think they would even come here? And if they are here, do you think it's like a War of the Worlds type of situation that's up and coming, that we're going to have this fucking war with some alien species who's here to take over our planet with some hostile takeover?
Yeah. Well, what I personally think,
Rob,
like,
what's your opinion?
Yeah, my opinion is 100%, and I'm very confident on this, is like, if you have the ability to move at those speeds, and like, I did see the video, and that video, let's just say you are somehow manipulating gravity to not affect you. You know what I mean? And if you're manipulating gravity, it means you're manipulating space-time. Right? So it's just like, if you can do that, there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing on this shit stain of a fucking planet that's fucking filled with trash that we've fucked it up. We've already killed the planet. Like, if an alien's looking at us like, we got to take over. It's like, you should have done that like 100 years ago, before we just like wrecked the planet, like just destroyed it. Like, okay, come take our factory farms where we're like, our own sentience, we're torturing them, or like obviously I'm throwing that in there because I'm a vegetarian. But let's go, or like our arable land is decreased. Anyways, the reality is just that if I dissect Rob, I'm gonna find the most common elements in this universe.
Yeah,
not the heaviest. We got some iron
rare.
in us. You know what I mean? But anything else, there's no gold in Rob. There's nothing fucking. It's just carbon, water, and fucking what, calcium in our bones. I don't know what the fucking, but it's nothing extraordinary. Okay, you want to take our oil, bro? It's just like you don't need to take our oil. Like you're moving at warp speed. Like, you know what I mean? They're looking at us because they're interested in perhaps our intelligence. Or like,
okay, so let's talk about that, because I don't think it's just the intelligence, but also the emotional interactions.
Yeah,
like you gotta remember, if there's another species out there, and let's say that it had the capacity to actually understand our languages, which I would assume if they can create devices that can travel across the universe, they would probably find a way to decode our messages. Like maybe they don't speak the languages that we speak, but they'd probably be able to decode them.
I think if computers can figure out,
then they would definitely be able to.
Babies can figure out how to learn our fucking language. I think warp drive fucking green men or whatever can figure out, like when I'm saying fuck, like you guys understand, like he's angry or something. You know what I mean?
So what's really interesting about it is I always wondered, is there, because even if you look at life on the planet,
right,
we have some elements of our behavior that not all animals have. Some do, but not all of them do. Like compassion. Well,
I mean, I wouldn't say that completely. I would say like the degree of compassion that maybe we have is higher, because fucking animal dies, like the dog's coming to lick you.
That's what I said. Some animals.
Some animals, okay, yeah, but I think a lot of them do, man.
I don't know.
All
like,
mammals.
Do snakes? Well, exactly. Mammals. Yes, that is true.
Mammals. So we have like some emotions. You know what I mean?
But the really funny thing about this situation, you said a minute ago, like they should have come here a long time ago before we fucked this planet up.
Yeah.
Let's say 150 years ago when the Industrial
Revolution
Revolution
fucking sick.
started.
Earth was sick.
Actually, the Industrial Revolution was like 250 years ago. But anyway,
yeah,
like before that time, right, when we were still just like animals on this planet.
So you're talking about
when I'm
2,000 years ago.
Well, even then, like, okay, true. Okay. But my point is that like the nature of our behavior has evolved over time to become a more selfish one. Right? Yeah. Like that's an observation that I would say is, obvious to a lot of people. Yeah. Like I don't think it takes a genius to realize that, at least in the culture in North America, that people are far more interested in preserving their own well-being rather than the well-being of the entire species.
Yeah.
And like if you're an outside creature and you're some advanced civilization and you're looking at us, you would look at us the way that we would look at Neanderthals. Yeah. Even less.
Yeah.
Because at least Neanderthals had the capacity to like work as a team to survive. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Now it's just like nobody's here to help their neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't downplay like all people, but like the reality is we're perpetuating a culture that's like completely about getting yours. You know what I mean?
Yours, yeah.
And like, if you're an outside species coming here, you'd be watching this like we watch the fucking Kardashians on television. Yeah. Like, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, what are these things doing? Like, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, they're operating so inefficiently. They're operating like incoherently, and like they're just doomed to fail. So let's just like sit back and watch the fucking fireworks as they go off, and then we'll just take their planet when the time comes, if they're even interested in the planet.
They're gonna fuck right off.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, how do you? And this is the part that really gets me, because like a lot of people are like, this is the arrogance of humanity, right? People think that if there's an alien species that comes to this planet, that we are like some special fucking thing that like, oh, they're here to take us over.
Take them out Lamborghini.
Yeah, like that's really, seriously, like that's what it's come down to. People think like this, man.
Yeah, because we've been programmed, man. It's just, our value system is like Instagram, and it's just like stuff, you know what I mean? Like, just pieces of metal, and like, oh, okay, they go real fast. They don't go fast in fucking warp drive. It's like, oh, they want to kill our families and just, harvest us. It's like, harvest us for what? For what?
Yeah.
Water?
Which you can find on like any asteroid out there.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But, there will, I believe, here's a prediction, guys. Okay, I'm actually just piecing this together right now. If the media released it right now, they're gonna, I think, some people will spin this into that these guys are, it's going to be a hostile takeover. And it's going to cause fear because the news causes fear.
Well, they thrive on it,
They
right?
thrive on it. So they, if just to think about it, even if they're not, even if there's, maybe there's another agenda, or I don't think so, but I just think that the media just typically does fear. They're going to turn this alien shit, if there is more alien shit, into fear. You know what I mean? They're going to turn into fear inherently, not for maybe an agenda. Maybe there is an agenda. I'm just saying inherently. Anyways, whatever. That doesn't even matter. But the point is like, you know, it's going to turn on to Instagram and it's going to be the next fad. Bro, I'm telling you right now, this alien shit, if it gets released, like if there's actual aliens, if we are not alone in this cosmic thing, it's going to be as long as we talked about the Indian variant, which we're not talking about anymore.
Right. It's going to come and it's going to go.
Israel, Palestine. Listen, fuck you guys who just posted for a week and then it's just the next thing. Aliens, next thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this, we just don't care. Like, our attention spans, we've been manipulated
big time
by this thing because it's like fucking aliens, Rob. Do you not understand? Like, I understand like the cosmic relevance and importance of the fact that we are not alone and we're finally seeing something. Yeah. Right? Maybe it's just a thought experiment, guys. It's not aliens until it's aliens, and then when it's aliens, we're going to talk about for a fucking week,
and then we're going to forget.
And we're going to forget about where we're.
I'm not sure that would be the case. I'm not sure because that's a little bit more grand.
I don't think so.
You don't think
so? I really
so?
don't think so. Guys, do you think so? You know the people you work with and you live with, and the people on Instagram. Like, do you guys think they have enough capacity? I think. You choose a hot girl or aliens? What are you going to choose right now, Rob? I swear to God, do not.
I'm married and I have kids.
Okay,
aliens.
My bad. Okay, my bad. The aliens definitely. Well, I'm not, so I'm going to choose the hot girl. Okay, on Instagram. Okay, so even though I understand it, it's just we're biological, just pieces of meat, and we're just,
I get all that,
yeah.
But look, I think it would be a lot more than a week, and I guess it would really depend. If it was just information that, like, yep, aliens were here, but nothing more than that, like no form of interaction, no form of like anything, just that the news that a UFO has been to this planet,
it's confirmed.
Then yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And when I say UFO, it actually is no longer a UFO because it wouldn't be unidentified. Yeah. It would actually be an alien spacecraft. So let's say we can confirm it was an alien spacecraft, but that was the only piece of information that hit the news. Yes, we'd be over in a week and be moving on to the next topic. Now, if there was like an alien that was captured and being held in the Pentagon's, like in Area 51, which, whatever, no longer even
free the alien.
Then yes, it'll last a little bit longer because then we would actually want to learn how to interact with them and whatever. But if it was just news that, like, hey guys, there have been aliens that visited this planet and they're now gone, we don't know where they are, people will be over in a week. I agree with you.
It'll be over in a week.
Yeah. Which is sad because, like, I mean, that goes to show you, you're right, our attention span and, like...
I'm not trying to be depressing here, but, like, this is just random facts. It's like the stars that you see up in the sky right now, they are outside our reach with our current technology. Actually, like, it...
Dude, the fucking planets in the solar system are outside of our reach.
No, I know. Outside of reach, what I mean is it's like space is moving away so fast that, like, the light is come to us and we can see it, but it's just almost like an illusion.
It is.
It's not there. Like, it's 20%. So if I were to fast forward and just if we can just, like, somehow move not relatively, I don't even know how to explain it.
I know what you mean.
Our skies would be like literally like a couple of stars in the Milky Way and like Andromeda and stuff like that. But, like, it's, they're just, space is moving away from us. We're ever becoming isolated.
Well, the theory is that the universe itself is expanding. Yes, that's what you're getting at. And there was actually, it's funny that you said that because I was watching a TikTok video with Neil deGrasse Tyson yesterday.
Right.
And he was saying that, like, something about the farthest star is something like 13 billion light years away.
Yeah.
But the universe is like 200 billion light years across. And he was like, well, how could the star be 13 billion light years away if there is 200 billion light years of diameter in the universe? And the point was that, like, well, because by the time the light of that 13 billion years distance has passed, that star has now expanded to a distance of 200 million light years away.
Exactly.
Or billion light years away. So, like,
that's the scale. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so, like, that's how long it took. So in the last 13 billion years of existence, that star that once upon a time was 13 billion light years away is now 200 billion light years away.
Right. And the
That's
universe
how far
is
the
like
universe
14 billion or something like that.
Something
right?
like that, yeah. So like, what people don't really like. I mean, look, this is a very like scientific.
I know this
discussion,
is a
but
very scientific episode.
But people really don't understand the magnitude of these sizes, man. And like, I really encourage people who don't know the physics behind this stuff, just like the rudimental, like the fundamental physics behind this.
Yeah.
Like, just look into it. Like, some of it is very easy to understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's mind blowing. It's fucking mind blowing.
So interesting.
Joe Rogan actually is into this stuff a lot too.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about like these types of things that are beyond the normal everyday conversation, which is why I love his podcast.
Yeah.
And you know, I really strongly encourage people to do a little bit of looking into this stuff. Like, I'm glad this UFO thing is now like a new topic in the media, because I hope it brings a little bit more attention to like the physics part of it, and people start really, you know, trying to understand like what the universe is and like how insignificant we really are in comparison to what's out there, right?
Yeah. I mean, trying to get back to like just the kind of idea here is like, let's just say once again, they're looking at us, and what are they seeing? They're not seeing much, but you know what I would like to. Do we got time?
Yeah, man. Of course.
Okay.
We're only 21 minutes in. We've got lots of time.
All right. Well, I don't want to wrap it up right away. So, anyways, what I want to say here is that I think they're looking at us and they're trying to see like whether we're gonna pass or fail. You know what I mean? So, us starting wars, us destroying the planet, you know, us just manipulating each other through Instagram and, you know, all these other kind of outlets. It's like we're not going to pass that way. You know what I mean?
But that's North America.
That's North America.
I mean, it's a global phenomenon, yes.
Yeah.
But I think...
But this idea of like, you know, this guy has more than me. I'm going to focus more of my attention on getting more. And yeah, that's North America. But I know it's India too. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I was having a conversation today with a colleague of mine at my office.
Yeah.
I've never really had like a deeper conversation with people at my office until today. And, you know, I was sort of explaining to him that, like, you know, forget all the details of what I was talking about. One thing that he kind of said was just like, our culture in North America is extremely like it's toxic and it's infectious. And like, you look around the world, and for people listening to that, that's Roy pouring me a nice glass of wine. You know, it's an infectious lifestyle, and it's like it's bad. It's not a good thing. It's like, I'm not saying that in a good way. Like, love can be infectious, but everything else that you associate with the word infectious is usually a bad thing, and that's very true about our lifestyle. Like, what we're spreading, the North American lifestyle has reached places like, you're right, like India, Europe, China. Not so much China.
Middle classes,
you know. Yeah, but people are like, they're salivating over what they think we're living like over here.
Yeah. And
don't get me wrong, I am in full agreement that life here is probably a lot better than a lot of places in the world due to the dangers of, you know, look at what's happening in Palestine, Israel right now, right? They got fucking real life and death situations happening every day.
Yeah.
And like, that's horrendous. And I feel very, very sympathetic to both parties.
Yeah.
You know, we don't take a side on this podcast because
I've got friends on both sides. We're not going to make a comment. Like, it's fucking war.
Yeah, well,
it's fucking governments. It's this tribalism.
Yes.
This is another thing that they're seeing. They're seeing tribalism. Like, let's take more land, or let's, you know, it's just like, but there's no working together. You know
well, they
mean?
Signed
they did sign something, but for
ceasefire
at what cost, man? Like, fucking.
I know, and it's sad what's already happened, and my heart goes out to all the people who suffered as a consequence of it. So my point is that life here, yes, you can say is technically better because you're not going to be dying because bombs are going to be going off in your backyard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, life is not much better because it's safer from a life and death perspective. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the existential crisis that's occurring here is becoming a real problem.
Yes.
Because like, we have too much.
Yeah.
Right? And we live in luxury. And now it's just about like, well, what the fuck is it all about? What are we all here for? And this is becoming a real problem. And I think Elon Musk has even commented on like the true dangers of the future lie in like this existential threat.
It's
like
a meaning crisis, right? You know, Jordan Peterson talks about it. Everyone talks about it. It's like what is the purpose? You know, but it's so interesting because I'm gonna get a little spiritual here because I kind of tricked people in this episode by thinking like, what are they looking at? That's actually the Buddhist, because I do go to a Buddhist temple. I used to go until COVID, and then I kind of fell off. But that act of viewing us from a third party, whether it being aliens or nothing, is a very useful activity because it's like, what is our purpose? And maybe the aliens know. Maybe that third,
like outside
looking in entity, that not Rob or Roy or that the actual awareness, right? Awareness, because you talk about compassion and friendship and all these kind of other things, right? We didn't really talk about it, guys, but there's this awareness, right? Like that is the key, because up there is where we see ourselves doing these dumb things and on Instagram and just competing, right? You just see Roy competing like that, and that's an act. I just wanted to throw that.
It's very true though. I mean, you can take a microscopic example of that, and like everyone's argued with their partner at some point or with a friend or whatever, and like when you're in the moment of doing this, you're not understanding, like you're seeing things through a lens that you're observing, you're seeing things through your eyes, right?
Through your eyes, yeah.
You're angry and you're yelling at the other person and you're like, this person's so fucking dumb and I don't understand. Why don't they understand what I'm saying to them? I argued with my wife yesterday, and like I was just like, what the hell? How doesn't she understand that? Like, she's so wrong here. But if you took a third party who witnessed this thing, just like when you watch a movie, rather than being in the argument yourself, you watch an argument happening on the television screen, you can actually see the full picture. You have the resolution of both parties, and you can understand, and perhaps that's sort of what these aliens are observing. They're just like,
it, man.
Maybe they understand what the end game is here. I don't know.
It's so interesting because like observing, even that word observing is like, it is in that it's getting to that stage of like a transcendent type of like part of your brain, because it's real, right? We can do it. So whatever that is, that awareness that, me and you were having a conversation for what reasons? This is the stage in Roy's and Rob's life where they tried to fucking make $1 billion. The podcast is not doing that well. You know what I mean? So it's like, anyways, it's like something in that act of observing could be the key to finding some resolution to this meaning crisis. I don't know.
But maybe we can take that idea and we can pull away from it and say, okay, well, perhaps you're right, Roy.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way. Forget the fact that there's aliens or not aliens is irrelevant.
Yeah, yes.
Maybe there's a way for us as the human species to like get a third party perspective on like what we're doing down here. Now, I bet like there are people out there who are very cognizant, they're very in touch and like very in tune with,
right.
They observe the world as a third party. Mm-hmm. Some people are like very introverted people. They don't really involve themselves and they're not integrated into the culture around them. They're actually just, observers.
Right.
Those are the people who are best suited to actually make judgment in terms of what we're actually doing here. Right. You're an introvert.
Right.
By nature.
Absolutely.
And like, I mean, it's not really clear to people who listen to this podcast because you're very like, it's like you're talking to me when we're sitting here. Mm-hmm. But if I put you into a room with a bunch of strangers, you actually go into a very introverted state.
Yeah, temporarily.
Until you become comfortable and confident with the surroundings.
Yeah.
But in that moment, when you're in that state, you're actually doing a lot of work in your head.
Yeah.
You're reading the room. Yeah. You're starting to understand people's context, character. Yeah. You're getting a feeling for, but that gives you an advantage because you are actually able to calibrate appropriately for what's happening in front of you.
Yep.
So just like you said, if the aliens are like observing us.
By the way, like most introverts do not enjoy that. I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's stressful and it can be taxing on my nerves and my brain, but it's something I do enjoy. But it's also through that, like realizing that, oh, Roy is this type of guy that, he used to get nervous around a lot of people, but he has his little process and, you throw him into a room and, so that once again, I leverage this idea of, I know I'm straying, but I leverage that. So I just want to make it clear because, it can be construed from just what we talk about. It's like introverts are bad or we're trying to accept them and they're going to feel stressed out. No, like I'm an introvert it's stressful. It makes me nervous, but I enjoy doing that, meeting new people and like understanding how they work. And
just to be clear, I'm not saying that.
No, I know you're not.
An introvert or an extrovert or different levels. It's all the same.
It's very like ambivalent in our description.
The important takeaway from it, though, is that act of observing when you walk into a room is the equivalent to what I'm saying we could do as a species. If we were able to somehow, like, we make movies, we film people acting, we should, like, this is like I don't know how we would do anything of this nature, but like, if we could observe our behavior. Actually, there's an episode of Black Mirror, for anyone who watches that show, where you're able to like rewatch any moment of your life. So basically, your eyes are acting as like a camera, and it's constantly recording.
Oh, it's
every
the first
element
episode. It's the pilot. Yeah.
So what I find interesting about that is that imagine you had the capacity to do this, and you can go back and watch. Because you're becoming, when you're watching it on the television, you're actually a third party now. So imagine everyone being able to go back through their lives and rewatch moments of their life to recognize like moments of failure or moments of like, poor behavior. And at the time they didn't see it, but they can go back and watch it afterwards. I wonder if it would be a constructive way for us to actually like reconcile the issues that we have. And like, I know to watch 8 billion people, it would be an impossibility, but...
Right.
I'm just saying that this is what goes through my head when I think of an alien watching us.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that episode, actually, now we have to talk about it just a little bit because, like, the protagonist still fails in some sense. It's like, okay, we can watch things because the way we encode memory is very subjectively and objectively, but, there's a subjective element that distorts the memory of what actually happened.
Yes.
But if you actually are able to revisit it, and actually, we do that already. We are consistently. Some people live in the past. Some people are anxious of the future, right? And really speaking, the best is like when you're in the now. And I was telling you about just driving, it's beautiful in Toronto right now. And just drive in with the windows down, listen to your like lo-fi music. I know it's fucking hipster as shit, but it's fucking beautiful. And I'm in the now when I'm driving like that. Even today we're listening to music and shit. And but yeah, like in that episode, if we look at it totally objectively, you're still fucked up. Like he's still fucking tripping out. He's angry. It's just like, but if you watched it like that alien race, like, in a true aware state. Yes. I know we're throwing around terms here, but hopefully our listeners are definitely going to understand what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? So it's like, he wasn't doing like that. So if I had the power to rewind and look at it, I probably will look at it objectively, right? And subjectively, regardless. It's like, it's just inherent.
Yeah, there's going to be a natural bias because you're obviously going to still think like Roy.
Yeah.
So when you're watching Roy's previous actions, despite that you're watching it from a third-party perspective, you still have this cognition that you are going to think like Roy. And so the actions that you're viewing on the screen are going to be still run through the filter of Roy.
The filter of Roy.
Yeah, and the truth. And I mean, this aligns with like a Buddhist philosophy where you want to detach yourself as much as possible, right, from reality, so that at the end of the day, when you observe the past, you're doing this without the filter of Roy or Rob or whomever the actor just like, in the scenario is, right?
Exactly, and that's it's funny. I have to do my weekly shout out to Yuri because she actually was reading to me like The Secret. The Secret?
Yeah.
Yuri, I'm sorry because I'm gonna have to bash a little bit, but I'm not big on The Secret like that. I know a lot of people.
So what is The Secret?
The Secret was like a book some person wrote about. It's on the spectrum of spirituality. It's a little bit higher in there. It's a little bit more of like I know there's like laws of affirmation. Like if you will it, it will come. It's
also turned into a Netflix documentary for those of you who want to watch it. But yeah,
and honestly, like anyways, the point is, she told me I've been in like a fucked up mood for the last whatever because I'm just feeling lonely and shit. You know what I mean? So I was sitting on the couch and she called me randomly and she's just like, she told me about The Secret again, and I understood this because this Buddhist philosophy, but at that moment I was just like in the past, like just thinking about fucking my life, because my mom's a little bit sick and shit, and in the future, the anxieties, and then she just called me and she told me and taught me
About the secret,
like the greatest secret. That's another book called The Greatest Secret, and it's about this idea of awareness, and I think it's just so weird how these things, even when you learn it, it's just like keeping it in the crosshairs is such a difficult task, because life just it gets a hold of you.
Well, it's because there's you are what your environment is, right? So like when everything around you is moving at the pace that society is dictated, right? And like the people who are around you, and all of us are influenced by the community. So like even unless the whole community is on that wavelength of being in the mindset of what's preached in The Secret, it's going to be too easy to detach yourself from that thought. And like maintaining that mindset indefinitely becomes a challenge, because you're going to be consistently bombarded with external thoughts, external voices,
consistently.
You know what I mean? And like that's the real challenge. And I don't know, man. You really got to give it to monks who are capable of like completely dissociating with everything. Like that's a very, very difficult thing to do.
Well, so the Bhantes, at like the Buddhist temples, the society takes care of them, all their necessities.
Yes.
Right. So they're fortunate enough to focus on self-actualization. Right. So, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we've talked about this, all the base things, food, shelter,
But what's wrong with a society where everybody got food, shelter, and everything else was up to you?
Fuck.
This is like the idea of the UBI that we were sort of discussing loosely.
I just realized, like, so we have very similar opportunity as like the Bhantes. Like we had to like kind of journey on this path of.
The problem, Roy, is that that's not what people desire.
No.
People don't want, because they live. Okay, for anyone listening to this who thinks for a second that these people are freeloaders, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because they try living like they do.
Yeah.
They don't have anything.
Yeah.
What you would consider to be the necessities of your life, they don't even have those.
Yeah.
They have literally what you just said. They have food, and they have shelter.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
No possessions, nothing. Right?
Look at my basement's starting to look sick. It's like, you can't have any of
none of this. None of these plants, not the guitar, not the wine that we're drinking, not the laptop we're recording on, no microphones, no, like this is all bonus shit that you don't even realize. Bonus.
It's just like a little room, and like you get some food, you get good food, and you do get to interact and help people. You know what I mean? So, but there's no like possessions.
Right.
No possession. So it's like, imagine like because my whole problem is like I'm in a state where I'm dealing with a lot of shit. I'm working like crazy out, like working 3 fucking jobs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm running like a couple of sites. Then I got my main gig, right? Because we shut down for a bit, and we got the podcast that we're trying to release, and but I'm still for the most part alone. But I'm just filling this fucking place that I'm living in with just shit.
Yeah,
like it's literally shit. It looks sick though. Like I want to get you guys a picture because I got fucking like LED lights. But like that's what I'm filling the void with.
So we all fill the void with, unfortunately, in this country.
Yeah. So maybe the aliens need to look a little harder at our fucking struggles. In order to fucking, if you want us to fucking ascend to the fucking like galactic level, because there's like 3 levels or some shit. If you want us to ascend, you have to understand like this is what we're dealing with.
Okay, so I'm glad we brought it back to the aliens, because we're getting perfect timing here to get to the end of this episode.
Oh, fucking
and I wanted to bring it back to that because I want to give you my take on like aliens. So
okay, that's interesting.
Let's say for a second that so first things first, we require advancement in our technology in order to be able to communicate, interact, travel to whatever with outside species. That unfortunately means that we need to be motivated and ambitious to want to advance our technologies.
Yeah.
Sadly, that only really happens in a world where we have some form of capitalism. And the word capitalism is associated with money, but
it's not just. Okay, I have to interrupt you here just a little bit. So there was like some Israeli space minister who also apparently knows about this alien shit.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, maybe he's a Yahoo, right? But I was gonna make a joke about the president of Israel because it's not
Not
the
now.
same.
Not a good
Yeah,
time.
okay, not a good time. But anyways, he was saying that like, yo, Trump knows, and the aliens were gonna tell us what we want to know about the fabric of space and time and the reality of this existence once we reach a certain level of understanding. I'm just saying that, but
Okay, maybe that's a possibility, but I
It's a
want to bring it
possibility,
back to the
yeah.
world that we know right now.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that there needs to be some level of competitive nature in our existence, because that ultimately is the driving factor for moving things forward.
Mm-hmm.
If we live in a society where nothing is rewarded for these advancements, then you're going to decrease the probability of finding these advancements. And I'm not saying that that's always the case.
Yeah. And are you saying it's just technological or advancements?
I'm saying in general,
And
right? So
investments, yeah.
if you look at like the standard of living as we know it today, in terms of like the shit that we have, like these laptops that we're using right now, the microphones, the cars that you drive, all this stuff is a product of the the incentive that is provided through the mechanism of capitalism, right? Because it gave people a reason to push forward and to grow and to do better and innovate. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only pathway that can lead to innovation and growth for our species, because if you really wanted to be a participant in this family that we are as a species, then you should always want to do your best anyways. Yeah. And people would argue against that, like people that are on the right, Ben Shapiro's, they're going to be like, oh, that's all nonsense. That's not true. No, you have to have some form of incentive in order for people to... Okay, maybe not. Point is, at the end of the day, I do believe that, yes, with an incentivized structure like capitalism, we get there faster. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. However, what I do think the best state for our species to be in is for all of us to be content living like the monks, right? That is the ultimate state to which we can live, because it's a world where none of us are required to suffer in the capacity of like, I don't have haves and have-nots, right? We are all one, and we all have, or we all do not have. Right? And that's the ultimate state, I think, that our species can get to, where it's like a collective, there's nothing, like it's not that Roy has the toys that are around him in your basement right now. It's that we as a species have what we have, period. Right? Just like when I'm in my family, right? My wife and I talk about it all the time, our finances, this and that. Yeah. What I make is not what I make, and what she makes is not what she makes. It's what we make is what we make, and it's the families. And I think that if we can adopt that philosophy to our species overall, would be the ultimate state. Now, what I would love to see is that if there are aliens out there, right, I would love to see us get to the point. Sorry, if there are aliens that are capable of communicating and getting to our planet, who are far more advanced in technological space than we are, I would love to see us get there. 100%. And I would love to see that species come here and be like, hey, where we're from, we're one. Like our alien species, we're just one. That's how we got to where we are. That's how we advanced as quickly as we did.
Absolutely.
Because we disregarded all of our personal needs and wants, and we came together as a collective, and that's how we advanced as quickly as we did. And that's how we got to this planet. It would be, I know it's a very utopian thought, and it's a very fictional thought for a lot of people listening. But honestly, like, I really think that if it can work on the micro level within like the confines of a family, and even in those cases, sometimes it's difficult to do that. Yeah. But if it can be managed, listen, that is the ultimate state. We all should be one. I know this is very hippie-like. It's very John Lennon speaking here.
Well, I think, could I add some?
100%. I'm done. I've been talking too much here anyway.
So like, there's some very interesting things. It's like, okay, if you analyze Rob, if you analyze Roy, if you analyze you guys, it's like that self or identity is inherently different, but like the awareness portion of it is pretty much the same. Like, sure, we are focused on different things, but that awareness is very similar to your awareness. If you do it correctly, it's gonna be the same as Roy's. It's gonna be same as whoever's. You know what I mean? So there is this idea of oneness. Like, I do believe that on a actual, like, if it has to be technical enough for me to understand, then I can agree with it. But on a technical level, it is quite abstract. But our awarenesses are all the same. The problem is that people are living in their identities and their self, and they're subject to their their wants, right? And it's hard because I get thrown back in there, and it's that we have to practice coming back out. You know what I mean? And saying, hey, listen, look down on this whole situation, and it's like you'll notice that is the same as, there's actually a really fantastic. I showed you that thing, the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fantastic.
The short video.
Some people when they watched it, they watched it for the surface level, but there is something a little bit more deeper in that. So the egg, it's by Kurt Kazad, right? And it's by Andy Weir, or I don't know, like the guy who wrote The Martian. But it's on YouTube. It's a really fucking amazing. And I've always showed that to very special people in my life. I've showed it to all my friends. Yuri and my ex-girlfriend. I showed it to you. I showed it to Zhang, and one girl I showed to. She's like, so I'm so thankful that I have you in my life to show me something like this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, so I definitely, you guys are very special to me. Whoever listens here, I don't know you guys by names. Yeah, the Risky Thinkers. I definitely want you guys to watch that and kind of understand it, but don't look at it on the surface level. Like, look at it for the meaning, and it's a little bit hard, but it's very resonant. It resonates with what we're talking about. And speaking of family, it's just today. In the garage, I felt very nice because your wife was just like, okay, say bye to Uncle Roy. It's just like, I'm like Brown, like, you know what I mean? So it's like this idea of family. It's just like we're all just in it together, trying to fucking figure it out, right? And it's just it's refreshing to see that. Your kid's Mini Rob's gonna learn. Like it's very interesting.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting thing because he's gonna be less afraid of people with different colors.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like, and he, obviously I'm still warming up to him, but like, he's a hilarious kid.
Well, he's not even 2. Just for the record,
he's not even 2,
but yeah, he does understand a lot of the fundamentals of the interactions of humans.
Yeah,
and listen, man, he considers you part of the family. He sees you all the time, right? So you're part of us.
It's fun.
So I do want to force us to wrap it up here because we're getting a little bit into it. I did want to conclude by saying one little thing. Elon Musk is working with Neuralink to try to develop a technology that allows us to interface with our devices.
Yeah.
Where that could potentially go is that we could interface with each other's brains, and we can become one brain, which would be something fucking mind-blowing. We wouldn't even understand what that looks like, but imagine networking all of our brains to one, call it a hard drive, and it's all processing as one device. Like, it's an unlimited potential of intelligence interacting with each other, and maybe that's how we transcend our current existence.
Yeah,
we become one
through technology.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and hey, who knows? Maybe that's what these aliens have done already, right?
Fuck, man. 100%.
Maybe they're multiple bodies.
Yeah.
But just like your arms and your legs are different parts of you.
Yeah.
We would all, as a human, as Rob and as Roy, we would just be different parts of the human.
Yo, bro, sign me up. I will link up to Kendall Jenner when she take a shower any fucking time, 24/7. Sorry, I had to throw that in there 100%. Because there are some caveats, but 100% the tech. I'm just kidding, bro.
100%.
I would be not just her. There would be a lot.
So to wrap this up cleanly here and get back onto a PG rated thing.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to say that, anyone who does have an opportunity to watch The Egg, it is an excellent video. I agree with you, Roy.
Yeah.
And I think people should take a look at it. If anyone has any questions or just any thoughts or comments, reach out to us. We really, really do appreciate for those of you who have reached out to us already.
Yeah.
Please continue to do so. It's always excellent to communicate with anyone out there who's listening to this from different parts of the world, different opinions. Yeah. But again, The Egg, take a look at it. It's on YouTube. Yep. Shoot us a message on riskythoughts.to on Instagram. We always appreciate the feedback, guys, and thank you very much for listening to us. We will be back in the very near future with the next episode.
Live long and prosper, risky thinkers.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.